All right, welcome back everyone for another deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at Kundalini activation.
Okay.
And looks like we got some pretty interesting stuff from our listeners. They sent in an excerpt from Kundalini Activation, a guide to practices and methods.
Oh.
So, should be fun to take a look at that.
Yeah, I'm really curious about this one.
Me too.
Kundalini energy is kind of a mysterious topic.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things where everybody's journey is going to be different.
Absolutely.
There's really no one right way to do this.
Yeah.
But hopefully, today we can at least get our toes wet.
Yeah.
And give you a little taste of what it's all about.
For sure. I think we can get a good overview.
Yeah. So to start off, can you just give us like a little Kundalini 101?
Sure.
What is this energy?
So in Hindu and yogic traditions, Kundalini energy is this potent energy that's dormant at the base of the spine. Yep. And it's often visualized as this coiled serpent waiting to be awakened.
Oh, interesting.
And when it gets activated, it's believed to move upwards through these energy centers called chakras.
Yeah, I've definitely heard of chakras.
Yeah. And it can lead to really profound shifts in consciousness.
Wow. And
a heightened sense of awareness.
That's pretty intense.
It can be, yeah.
And I'm really interested in this whole serpent imagery.
Mm-hmm.
Is that just like a metaphor, or is there something more to it?
It is a metaphor.
Okay.
But I think it speaks to the idea of transformation, shedding old patterns, like a snake shedding its skin. It's about kind of embracing a new way of being.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of different methods that people use for activating Kundalini.
Right.
And I know some of them are pretty well known, like meditation and yoga.
For sure.
But in this excerpt, they mentioned a couple that I thought were really interesting, like cold exposure and shadow work.
Yeah, those are interesting ones.
Yeah. Can we talk about those a little?
Absolutely, yeah. So cold exposure is basically using extreme cold to kind of shock the system and stimulate energy flow.
So like ice baths.
Yeah, like ice baths or cold showers.
Oh, wow.
And the idea is that by pushing past your physical comfort zones, you can awaken this dormant energy.
I wonder. I guess on one hand, there's obviously a physical response.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
When you're exposed to that kind of cold.
Yeah, your body reacts.
But is there also a deeper energetic shift happening?
Some people believe so.
Okay.
It's thought that it can trigger the body's natural healing mechanisms and potentially jumpstart that Kundalini awakening.
Interesting. And then what about shadow work? I've heard that term before, but I'm not really sure what it means.
So shadow work is more of a psychological practice where you kind of explore and integrate the hidden parts of yourself. Like
the parts we don't like to talk about.
Exactly. The stuff we repress.
Oh.
Like fears, limiting beliefs, emotions that are not comfortable with.
And that helps with Kundalini activation.
Yeah, the idea is that by confronting these shadows head on, you're clearing a path for that Kundalini energy to rise.
So it's like removing the obstacles.
Exactly, like a dam in a river.
Right, so it can flow freely.
Exactly.
Now, all of this sounds pretty intense.
It can be.
I'm guessing it's probably not something that you should just try to do on your own.
Right. It's definitely not recommended to just dive in.
Yeah.
Spontaneous awakenings can happen. But if you're actively seeking to activate your Kundalini, it's really important to find a teacher.
Like an experienced teacher.
Yes, someone who's been there, someone who can guide you through it.
So that you can do it safely.
Exactly.
And process those experiences in a healthy way.
Yes, because it can be a lot to handle.
Right.
Especially if you're not prepared.
Okay, so find a teacher. That's really good advice.
Yeah.
This has been such a fascinating deep dive.
Yeah, it's been really interesting.
I feel like we could talk about this for hours.
Oh, absolutely.
We've just barely scratched the surface.
We have, but it's a good starting point.
And for those of you listening, if you're intrigued by this idea of Kundalini activation, I would encourage you to do some research.
Yeah, read up on it. Explore different methods. See what resonates with you.
Yeah, and I think one question to ask yourself is which of these methods really speaks to you personally?
Yeah, what calls to you?
Is it meditation? Is it cold exposure? Is it shadow work? And why?
Right. What feels right for you?
Yeah. Because ultimately, this is a journey of self-discovery.
Absolutely.
And everyone's path is going to be different.
It is.
So, yeah, Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll see you next time for another deep dive.
Looking forward to it.